One of the most interesting and exciting looking newly revealed games is Kingmakers, and we've got some new updates on Kingmakers by the developers themselves. So Kingmakers is a game where you will be able to go back in time to a war-torn medieval era with a vast arsenal of modern weapons, change the course of history and save the future in this epic action strategy sandbox. Build your kingdom, grab a gun and lead an army of thousands into a massive real-time simulated battles solo or in co-op. Now this game is scheduled to release in 2024 and is by the developer Redemption Road. Currently it looks like this game will only be available on Steam on PC, but we definitely hope that this comes to consoles if the game is good upon release. So let's move over to the interview with Insider Gaming, where they spoke with Ian and Paul Fish from Redemption Road to talk about Kingmakers. They were asked about the origins of this game given how it's so different from the developer's first game. They said one of our internal pitches was, what if you could bring back modern weapons to medieval England? We all love that idea, but realized that if we were going to do this, we had to do it right. We couldn't just have a few dozen soldiers on the field. That wouldn't be historically accurate, nor would it do the concept justice. We needed to have thousands of soldiers on the field. We also weren't willing to sacrifice any of the high fidelity animations, physics and hit reactions that you would expect from a AAA shooter like The Last of Us 2. So already we've got a great sign because they are taking inspiration from The Last of Us 2. That is the standard, and we know that The Last of Us 2 has some of the best gameplay, especially for a third-person shooter on the market today. Now in no way do I expect Kingmakers to have the type of animations and physics that The Last of Us 2 has, but it's great that The Last of Us 2 is on their minds because that is the standard I want all third-person shooters to reach. Paul Fish then revealed that once upon a time an idea pitched to move Kingmakers to a Roman setting after being inspired by the story of Rome Sweet Home. Ultimately, keeping the game in a medieval setting was determined to be more iconic. It was also said that Army of Darkness was a big inspiration for the scale of the action in Kingmakers. I can definitely see a DLC expansion or a second game being set in Rome, especially of course if this game does well. And yes, this game does really remind us of Army of Darkness, which was the third original Evil Dead movie where Ash goes back in time to a medieval England and kills hordes of the undead. Kingmakers, which Paul revealed has been in development for several years, will have a meaningful campaign that'll feature more than quick jump in random battles. There's a desire to have many alternate futures that can be created by the player's actions in the past. So this is a massive detail right here. Not only has the game been in development for years now, as it should have, because it's going to be released on Steam this year in 2024, the game isn't just going to be this quick jump into random battle simulation sandbox. Rather, there will be a meaningful campaign behind it. So again, I think they did take a lot of inspiration from The Last of Us. I hope in terms of what type of story they will want to achieve, it seems like The Last of Us is heavily on the developers' minds. And I'm not saying that this game is going to be similar to The Last of Us, but just in terms of quality, it seems like that is the bar they are trying to reach, that standard they have preserved for themselves. So they decided to put a lot of effort into a campaign, which hopefully is at a high standard, as I do think they have a lot of passion for creating this game. And just from the trailer that hooked everybody that watched it, it looks like it's going to be a really enticing, fun game. They also said how you can affect the future by events taken in the past. Now, I don't think there's going to be any modern day warfares. However, I think we will see the future play out in certain campaign cutscenes to see how your decisions affected the present day and the future moving forward. Again, I think this is so interesting and I really hope they can pull this all off. Insider Gaming then asked Ian Fish how deep Kingmakers would run. It turns out there's a mission to create a far-reaching and immersive campaign that players would want to enjoy for hours on end. They responded by saying, we're trying to create the ultimate medieval fantasy that means building up an empire, taking castles, conquering territory, etc. It's not just a string of random battles, but an immersive campaign where you build up settlements, capture enemy outposts, train and promote soldiers, etc. So we saw a lot of these aspects in the trailer, and it's very much features that we've seen in classic strategy games. game. We've seen a lot of these things come into fruition with the Total War series, and the main twist of this game is that you will be able to go into certain battle with your modern day soldier with modern day weapons. Together, Ian and Paul dished about the game's technology. I learned that Kingmakers has a solid foundation with advanced animation systems, AI pathfinding, and online multiplayer mechanics. With thousands of soldiers being at screen at once, a huge part of the development cycle was ensuring that the game remains stable at all times. Presently, Ian and Paul are focusing on co-op gameplay, but they exclusively reveal that they want to have player versus player combat in Kingmakers at some point in the future. Again, they spoke about the animation systems, which I think we can look back to Last of Us 2, which had amazing animations. So it really does look like there's a lot of aspects of The Last of Us's gameplay that will hopefully rub off in Kingmakers. We also find out that there will be online multiplayer mechanics, and a lot of this time has been used to keep the game stable and well polished. It also seems that we got a new future feature revealed here, as the developers really want to add one-on-one multiplayer battles at some point in the game's future. So I think we got a ton of details for Kingmakers here, and it's a really exciting game that seemingly came out of nowhere. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about Kingmakers, and I'll keep you up to date on this game if you like this video. And we talk about so many other franchises like the upcoming open world Ghost Recon game, upcoming open world superhero games, Star Wars game, Metal Gear, Konami, and so much more. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Peace out, God bless. I hope to see you in my next videos. Take care, guys.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a